Osman, and today we're gonna be continuing with the topic that we studied last time, which was algebra, right? And we covered a couple of topics in algebra. We covered some of the basic topics like what's the difference between equations and expressions, and we covered how to solve inequalities, right? We covered some sequences. We did cover the graphical method of solving inequalities as well, right? So moving on, today what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off. Last time we started off with simultaneous equations, right? But we didn't really cover a lot of it. But we discussed different methods. I told you that there are three different ways of solving a simultaneous equation. Simultaneous, taneous. Let me just write it down. Okay, so it's simultaneous equations. Great. So this is what we did last time, simultaneous equations, and I taught you that there are three ways in which we're gonna, solve a simultaneous equation. Can any one of you remind me what are those three ways? Simultaneous equations, right? So what are those three ways that we can solve it? Does anyone remember? I gave you guys a task as well. I gave you guys three equations to solve. So if any one of you has solved it, kindly write those answers in the chat box below, and I'll discuss them whether or not you've answered them right. So they're gonna pin your comment if it's right. All right. So now there are three ways of solving simultaneous equation. We discussed that there was one way called substitution, and substitution is one of the most common way that substitution right, substitution is one of the most common way in which we're going to solve our equations. And there was some other way called elimination, right? Elimination is one of the ways. However, it's not that preferred. Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to do this, but I'll prefer you guys on solving the equations using substitution method only. And there was a graphical way as well. So I give you guys a hint of how to solve a graphical equations, uh, how to plot linear equations, right? That I think we're going to study this in some time next week, like how to solve a graphical equation, how to write down those answers. But for now, I'm just going to guide you on how the simultaneous equation is solved graphically. So let's start off with the substitution method. All right, so let's say that I have two equations. I'm going to just go on with a reminder. Okay, so yes. All right, so I'm going to go on with just a reminder, just a flashback of what we did last time. Let's say that we have two equations, 2x plus 3y equals to 5. That's one equation. Now we have another equation, minus 4x plus 5y equals to 9, right? So how are we going to solve this? Right, so first what we did was we marked this as equation 1, and then we marked this as equation 2, right? So in the first equation we have to take one equation. Let's take this equation. We can take either one of them, right? So we take 2x plus 3y equals to 5. All right, and now we have to make any one of, there are two variables, right? One x and one y, so we can make either one of them the subject. So I'm choosing to make y the subject. All right, so let's make y the subject. For that I have to make 2x go to the other side, so it's going to be 3y equals to 5 minus 2x, right? And then I have to make y the subject, so I'm going to take 3 to the other side as well. 3 is in multiplier, so it's going to go into divide on the other side, so it will become 5 minus 2x upon 3. Okay, now that's the y. So now we're going to substitute. substitute this. Let's take it as equation 3. So we're going to substitute equation 3 in equation 2, right? Now let's substitute it. So the equation 2 is minus 4. What's the value of x? So we do not have a value of x, so it's minus 4x plus 5 y. So what's the value of y? So we can write this whole instead of y. So it becomes 5 minus, right? So it becomes 5 minus 2x divided by 3, right? And all of this is equals to 9, right? So now what we're going to do, we're going to multiply them both. Okay, so it becomes my negative 4x plus 25 minus 2 minus 10x, right, over 3. Right, now what we're going to do, we are going to simplify this. We have to take 3 to the other side, but for that we have to take LCM over here. So let's take LCM. We're going to divide the denominators together. It's going to become 3, and now we're going to cross multiply. Okay, so 1 multiplied by any time is going to stay the same. So 3 multiplied by negative 4 is going to become negative 12x plus 25, right, minus 10x equals to 9. Now let's take 3 to the other side. It's going to become negative 12x minus 10x. So it's going to become negative 22x plus 25, right? Now 3 times 9 is 27, right? So let's take let's take 27 to this. All right, so let's take 25 to this side, right? So it becomes negative 22x equals to 27 minus 25, it becomes 2. Now let's take 22 to the other side. It's going to become 2 divided by 27 negative. So the final answer would be negative 1 over 11, right? So that's the value of x. Now we're going to substitute this value of x over here. So it's going to become y equals to 5 minus 2 times 1 over 11, okay, divided by 3. So can any one of you tell me the final answer of this? I'm waiting. Can anyone tell me the answer to this? So I think the final answer I'm getting is negative. Oh, I'm getting is 1.661 to be precise. So that's the value of y, right? So that's the way we are going to find these 2 points. So in terms now, as we've done, we're going to continue doing some of the questions, so don't worry about it. We're going to practice some more, right? So if you did not understand this, kindly let me know right now so I can explain it again. But don't worry, we're going to do some examples just so that you guys are clear on it. Okay, I'm not going to move forward unless you guys are clear on it. So the writing font is not clear. Okay, so I'm gonna try and write it better because I'm writing it using a notepad. So it's my own handwriting. I'll try to make it better. Okay, so now let's see what does it mean by graphically. Okay, so these are the linear equations. Like these are, what do I mean by linear equation? I mean that when they are drawn on a graph, whenever they are drawn on a graph, they represent a straight line. Okay, so this might be this line, this is a straight line, and this might be this straight line. So what, I have some value of x, I have some value of y. So what is exactly this value of y? The point of intersection of both of these lines on the graph is the value of x comma y that we've just calculated. Okay, so this is what essentially this represents, right? So I hope this thing is clear now. right? Now now let's move ahead and do some other questions. All right, now I have five okay, so I'm gonna continue with this. Okay, so I have four questions right over here. Okay, so I'm going to do these questions. I'm going to explain the question number 7 using elimination method. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what elimination method is. All right. Elimination. Okay, so what's elimination method and how are we going to use it? Okay, so now if I have what does it mean by eliminate? Eliminate means to remove something or to, you know, eradicate something. So right now I have one equation as 4x plus, sorry, 4y, it's 4y plus 6x equals to 18. All right, and I have another equation which is 3y minus 2x equals to 33. Okay, so whenever you have two equations like these in elimination method, what you want to do first part is to make any one variable equal. Okay, so you want to make, like, let's say that I have 4y over here, so I essentially have to make this equal to this. Okay, so either I find a common number between both of these. Let's say that if I multiply this whole equation with 3, if I multiply this whole equation with 3, this y is going to become 12y, right? And if I multiply this whole equation with 4, so this y is going to become 12y. So I have similarly, this is the way I have to make both of these equations, like any variable in these equations same. So I find that if I multiply this whole equation with 3, okay, if I just multiply this whole equation with 3, I'm going to get 6x over here. Okay, so this is what essentially I want, right? This is essentially what I want. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, but I have to multiply it with -3. Why -3? Because I have to make it equal, like I have to make them equal in terms of signs as well, right? So let's do that. Okay, so let's multiply the second equation with -3. Okay, so what's going to be the modified equation? Is going to be -9y minus, oh sorry, plus 6x equals to -33. Okay, and now on the top we have 4y plus 6x equals to 80. So now what we're going to do, we're going to subtract the equation below from the whole equation. So we are going to multiply it with the negative sign. Okay, so it's going to become positive 9y plus minus 6x equals to 33. And now on the top it was 4y. Yeah, it was 4y plus 6x equals to 18. Now we're going to add these both of these equations. Okay, so it's going to become 33 13y, and then this would cut out. Okay, so it becomes 0, and 18 plus 33, what's the answer? So 18 plus 33 gives me 51, right? So I have 51 over here equals to 51. Now if I want to find out the value of y, it's going to become 51 divided by 13, right? So y is equals to 51 divided by 13, it becomes equals to 3.9. All right, so that's the value of y. Now I want to find out the value of x. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose any one of these equations and put in the value of y. All right, so if I put in the value of y in the first equation, if I put in the value of y, which is 3.9, so 4 multiplied by 3.99, right, plus 6x equals to 18. So for 4 multiplied by 3.9 is going to go to the other side, right? So 4 multiplied by 3.9 multiplied by 3.9 is going to become 15.6, right? So 6x equals to 18 minus uh 15 15.6, right? And then we're going to divide 6 with the whole answer, so 18 minus 18 minus 6 15.6, it becomes 2.4, and then divided by 6, so the final answer would be 0.4. So that's the value of that's the value of um, the answer, right? So I hope this is clear to all of you, right? Now what we're going to do, we are going to do questions 8, 9, and 10 with substitution methods. All right, so 6a, and substitution method is relatively, there's a higher chance of errors, there's a higher chance of errors in elimination. All right, so the best way to use it is using, but the best way to solve substitution is using uh, the best way to solve a simultaneous equation is using substitution methods. That's what I believe, because there's limited chance of errors over here. Okay, so the equation is 6a plus 3b equals to 23, and the other equation is 5a plus 3b equals to 18. All right, now let's mark this equation as 1 and this equation as equation number 2, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to choose any one of these equations. So let's choose equation number 2 and make a our subject. So it's 5a equals to 18 minus 3b. Now 5 is going to go into the denominator, so it's going to become 18 minus 3b over 5, right? And now we're going to substitute this equation back. I'm going to substitute this equation back to the equation number 1. So it becomes 6 times a. So what's the value of a? A is 18 minus 3b divided by 5, right? Plus 5b equals to 23, right? So now what we're going to do, we're going to multiply these. Okay, so 6 times 18 becomes what? Sorry, 6 times 18 becomes 108. So 108 minus 6 threes are 18, so 18b, right? And now I'm going to take LCM over here, so it's going to become 5, and 5 times 5 becomes 25, so 25b over here, 25b equals to 23. So I hope this is clear to all of you, right? If you need me to go a bit slow, I can go a bit slow, but it's pretty simple. So I think a lot of you might not be having a little difficulty over here. So 18b minus 25, it becomes 8b, so plus 8b. Now 23 times 5, it becomes equals to 23 times 5, it becomes equals to 115, right? So 115 over here. Now let's move 108 to the other side. It's going to become 8b equals to 115 minus 108, so the answer would be 7, sorry. So 7, the value of b is 7 divided by 8, right? Now if we want to substitute We want to substitute the value of b in a equals to 18 minus 3b divided by 5. So let's do that. Our b is equals to 7 over 8, right? So let's substitute the value of b. So 18 minus 3 times 7 over 8 divided by 5. So just give me the answer very quickly over here. Right, so what's the value of the answer? Come on guys, let's make it a little bit more interactive. Use your calculators wisely and give me an answer. I'm waiting for you. All right, now what's the answer? You can give me the answer in decimal. All right, to one decimal place. Come on, hurry up. I'm waiting. Let's see whoever gets it first. Come on guys, quickly. So the answer to this is 3.1. That's the value of a. Right, I hope this is clear right now. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment box below. You have time now. The rest of these two questions, I think you guys are good to go. You guys can do this as a task for after the class. Now, if you guys find any difficulties, we're going to discuss these tomorrow on Monday. So just take notes and ask me. All right. Or you can message the Instagram page and we're going to take off from there. Right. Now, let's move on to the next topic for today. Right, we're going to do a couple of more questions regarding simultaneous equation, but they're going to be in terms of word problems. Right, so word problems are one of the most crucial part of GCSE exams. Right, so let's see how well do you know how well do you guys solve the word problems or understand them. So here's a word problem for you all. Right, it says it says in the question that perfect. So here's a question. In a two-digit number, the unit digit is thrice the tenth digit. If 36 is added to that number, the digit interchanges their place. Find the number. All right, so can anyone tell me what they mean by that? So in the beginning classes, I explained to you what was the unit place and what was the tenth place, right? So the unit place is, it goes like unit, tens, hundreds, right? So if I write 343, so this is the unit place, this is the tenth place, and this is the hundred place, right? Now what they're asking you is, there's a two-digit number, right? So there's no hundredth place over here. So in a two-digit number, there's only a unit place and a tenth place, right? So in any place, number can vary from 1 till 9. That's the only way. Or maybe 0 till 9, not 1, 0 till 9. Right, so let's take, how are we going to solve this equation, solve this word problem? So I'm going to suppose some things. Let unit place unit place b equals to x. Okay, and let tens place b equals to y, right? So if I have a two-digit number, then it's going to be 10y plus x, right? So if I have 3 and 4 and I have to make 34, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna multiply 3 with 10 and add 4 to it, right? That's how I usually do it. So that is why I've written an equation like this, right? Now in the next step, what they've said is if we add 36 to the two-digit number. So this is our two-digit number, right? This is our two-digit number, equation of a two-digit number, right? So what they've asked is if I add like 10y plus x and if I add 36 to it, they are supposedly the digit will interchange their places. So it will become 10x plus y, right? I hope this is clear to all of you, right? I hope this is clear to all of you. Now, how to solve this? How are we going to solve this? So what we essentially need to do is, um, yeah, can anyone ask me, can anyone tell me what are we going to do next? All right, so there's one more piece of information written over here, right, which is very important. The unit place is written, the unit place is thrice the 10th digit, right? So the unit place is x, right? And it is thrice the 10th digits, right? The 10, so the 10th digit is whatever y, and if we multiply it with 3, it's going to become a unit digit, right? So that's an important piece of information, right? So what we need to do is we have now two equations over here. Okay, so one equation is this. Let's copy it downstairs at the bottom. Okay, so we have one equation over here and we have the other one over here. So let's simplify the first one. So it becomes 10 minus y, and then x is going to go to the other side. It's going to become 10x minus x. So in simplified form, it's going to become 9y 9y plus 36 equals to 9x, right? Over here it's going to become 9x, right? Is this clear to all of you? Is there anyone who does not understand this? Right, so this is our equation number one and this is our equation number two. Now we're going to substitute the value of x in equation number one, so it becomes 9y plus 36 equals to 9 times 3y, right? So 9 times 3y. Now we're gonna take 36 over here and move 9y to the other side. 9 times 3 becomes 27, right? 27y minus 9y. We get what over here? We get 18 over here, right? 27 minus 9. We get 18 over here, right? And now to 18y equals to 36. So we're going to take 18 to the denominator. It's going to become 36 divided by 18, right? And the value of y would be 36 divided by 18 is what? 2, right? So it becomes 2. Now I had this equation which gave me the value of x. So x equals 3y. And now if I multiply 3 with the value of 2, I'm going to get 6. So the unit place is 6 and the 10th place is 2, right? So that was essentially our answer. Find the number. So the number is 26. Do you guys get it? Is there anyone who does not understand this or is having a bit of a tough time understanding this? Kindly let me know in the comment box below. Okay, so if there's anyone who missed the starting, I think this lecture is going to be uploaded as well. It's going to be recorded as well. So yeah. Now, is there anyone who does not understand this? Kindly let me know in the comment box below. Right. So I think everyone's clear, pretty clear with this. Right. Okay. So this is one of the most common question I get. It's one of the most toughest form of questions as well, that I don't know why, but usually students seems to have a big issue in solving these. Okay, so they're very simple. The questions which are related to age, I've yeah, I've given some problems already for the next week. These are the two problems for the next week, and I'm gonna give um, a couple of word problems as well for the next week, right? So I'm gonna post them here. So let me just post them here. So this problem right here is for the next week. This problem right here is for the next week as well. Okay. So this problem as well as these two problems. So they're supposed to be done next week. All right. Now let's talk about this. Now I have a question like this. Let's read the question together. The question says, if the age of the son is added to the age of father, the sum is 56. But if twice the age of father is added to the age of son, the sum is 82. Find the ages of son and father. So it's a pretty straightforward question, right? So for first, let's take. So the first step would be, let's father's age father's age be x, right? Let son's age be y. All right. So what they're saying in the first part is, if twice the age of son is added to the age of father, the sum is 56. So the first equation, it would be 2y twice the age of son is added to the age of father, so plus x, the sum would be 56, right? So this pretty much becomes our first equation. You guys get it? You guys get it? Is there anyone who does not understand this? Right. Now in the second part, it says, if twice the age of father is added to the age of son, so it means that 2x is added to the age of son, right, which is y, it becomes 82, right? So it's a pretty straightforward question, right? It becomes part 2. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna solve it using simultaneous equations, right? Let's simplify this. Let's make x the subject, so it's going to become 56 minus 2y, right? And let's substitute this in equation number 2. So 2 times 56 minus 2y become plus y becomes equals to 82. So 2 times 56, 2 times 56, what's the answer? 112, right? So 112 minus 4y plus y equals to 82. So this becomes 3y, and it's going to go over to the other side, and 82 is going to come to this side. So it's going to become 112 minus 82 equals to negative, or sorry, not negative, it's going to become positive 3y, right? So 112 minus 82, the answer would be 30, right? 30 equals to 3y. Now the value of y would be 10. So y was what? Y was son's age, right? Find the ages of father and son. Now if we have to find the age of father, so let's place the value here. So 56 minus 2 times, what's the value? Y, 10, right? So that's equals to x. X is father's age, right? So yeah, right. Now the answer would be 56 minus 20, right? So x equals to 36. So that's the father's age, and this is going to be the son's age. I hope it's clear to all of you now. Is there anyone who does not understand this? So one of the questions which somebody has asked me, how do you know which to pick first? Uh, I don't know what you're talking about, which one to pick first. You can pick either of them. So um, I'm just going by in terms of the expression what they're asking me, right? So I just assume the value of x as father's age, and I just assume the value of y as as son's age. If you were to interchange it, it wouldn't really make a difference, right? Now if we add them both, so this forms the first equation, this forms the other equation. So if you're asking me how did I pick, like if I were to make x the subject or y the subject, so it's pretty easy. Okay, so what I was doing was I did not want to take any number. If I had a choice, I can take the x because it has one attached with it, so I do not have to divide anything, right? If I take 2y over here, so it's going to become 56 minus x, and then I have to divide 2, right? So I was avoiding that. So that is how I picked x as a subject, right? You can pick either one of them. It's going to give you, in the long term, it's going to give you a fine answer. It doesn't really matter which one you pick first, right? So one more with example. Okay, so I'm gonna give another one for the homework task. But let's just do this one in the class, right? Okay. So the question says two pen and one eraser cost 35, and now three pencils and four erasers cost 65 rupees 65. Find the cost of pencil and eraser separately. So that's pretty easy, right? So let's take pen as x, and let's take eraser as y. So let's see who gets it faster than me. Okay, now let's see who gets this faster than me. I want you guys, I'm going to give you a head start of approximately 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, so you guys solve it, and I'm going to start with exactly after 1 minute. Okay, so till then I'm hoping that you guys would be able to answer me in the comment box, right? So start working on it, form your two equations, and then simultaneously solve them. You have your time, right? Just quickly solve it. Yeah, so I think I've given you 1 minute, right? So now let's start. All right, so it says that two pen and one eraser costs 35. So two pens means 2x plus one eraser, that means y, and the cost of that would be 35, right? Now this is the cost of eraser, and this is the cost of pen. A single pen costs x, and a single eraser costs y. So 2x plus y equals to 35, right? And the other would be three pencils and four erasers. So now um, I have pencils, right? So this is a typo. It's supposed to be pen. Okay, it's supposed to be pen. It's not pencil, right? So three pens plus four erasers. So 4y is equals to 65, right? So now that I've formed two of my equations, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve them simultaneously like I used to do. Okay, so which one are we supposed to make subject over here? So okay, so like somebody asked me, how do I choose? So I have y, which is single, and I have 2x, right? So I it's easier for me to make y the subject, right? So I'm just gonna take 2x to the other side. It's going to become 35. It's going to become 35 minus 2x, right? So now let me just substitute it back to the second equation. It's going to become 3 times x plus 4 times the whole y. So what's the value of y? Y is 35 minus 2x equals to 65. All right, so now it becomes 3x plus 4 times 35. 4 times 35, it becomes 140, minus 4 times 2 becomes 8, so it's 8x, right? It's negative 8x equals to 65, right? So negative 8x plus 3x, it becomes negative 5x, and 140 is going to go to the other side, so 65 minus 140, right? So 65 minus 140 is going to become equals to negative 75, right? So we're going to cancel the negatives, right? So it's going to become 75 divided by 5. So what's the answer? 75 divided by 5, it's equals to 15, right? So x becomes equals to 15. So that's the cost of one pen, right? So in order to find out the cost of one pencil, the equation is y equals to 35 minus 2 times x, which is 15, which is 15. All right, so it becomes equals to 35 minus 30. So the answer would be 5, right? So value of y is 5, value of x is 15. So x was pen and y was eraser. So that's the cost of pen. Cost of pen. So this is the cost of pen, and now this is a cost of eraser. All right, so yeah, so is there anyone who does not understand this now? Did anyone get it right before me? Are you guys doing it with me? So if you are, then you must be getting the same answer. If not, if not, then you must have identified where you guys are making an error or a mistake, right? So I hope this is clear for now. Is it? Is it clear? All right, perfect. So let's move ahead. We are gonna start off with another topic. So this was the end of simultaneous equations. I've completed the word problems as well as using different ways of solving, like substitution, elimination, and graphic methods. Right. So in the end, we're gonna start off with another topic, and we're gonna continue this next week on Monday, hopefully. All right. So the next topic for um, our algebra is gonna be functions. All right, so functions are essentially the same as um, simultaneous equations. So we're gonna, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to define a function, right? So we firstly, how to denote a function, right? How do we write if how do we identify by looking at an equation that it's a function, it's talking about functions. Okay, so will there be a practice for next lesson? Sorry, I have to log off soon. Yeah, I'm gonna hold on a second. I'm just gonna give you some of the questions, right, so that you can practice them at home. So let's do this one. Okay, so this okay, so these two are going to be your task, the equation task for Monday, and then this one right here is going to be the task for the word problem task. So just quickly take a screenshot of it so that I can move forward. If you can also view the recorded lecture, right? So just take a screenshot of it and this as well. Kindly practice it so that you get better at it, right? So now let's move ahead. Let's move to the topic of functions. Like, so what I was asking you was like, can you just look at an equation and you identify whether we're talking about functions over here or are they just talking about random equations? So a function is basically you write it that f of x equals to some equation. Okay, so some equation that's in form of x, so we can write 2x plus 5, right? So this thing is a function of x, right? Whatever value of x we put in. Okay, so let's say if I put it as 2. Okay, like I want a function of 2, so it's going to give me an answer of 2. Like how I'm going to write 2 in place of x wherever it's used in the equation. So it's 2 times 2 plus 5. So the answer would become 4 plus 5 and 9, right? So the function of 2 is equals to 9. We can also write the function of x as equals to y. So essentially the equation is, if the equation is written as function of x equals to 2x plus 5, we can also write it down as y equals to 2x plus 5, right? So it's basically talking about the same simultaneous equation that we've studied before. Right? So in terms of graph, what does it mean? Okay, so graphically, what does it mean? I'm just building on the concept right now. I'm gonna continue of working on it in the next session that we have on Monday, right? So in terms of graph, what does it mean? So when I said that the function of 2 is 9, it means that on x-axis, if I see 2, the corresponding value of that would be 9, right? Over here. So that's the coordinate I'm talking about. So there must be a graph which is connecting this. Okay, so if I say I want a value of 1, so what do I do? I want a function of 1. So what do? I just write down the value of 1 in place of x and in the equation as well. So in the equation in place of x, I would be writing 1 now. So it becomes 2 times 1 plus 5, and the final answer would be 7. So this means that I have to, now here it's 7. Do you get it? So this value of x is called domain, right? These values of x is called domain, and these values of y or function of x is called an image. Okay, so this is the concept of domain and image, right? Now because it's a straight line, domain basically means for a straight line how many values of x can we have. Because it's a straight line, this straight line is going to go on to as far as I can take it. So it's going to go on to positive infinity, and it's going to go on to negative infinity. So the domain of a linear function would be so the domain is written in form of x. Okay, so domain of a linear function would be real number. Okay, so any real number, whether it be positive real number or a negative real number. All right, so that would be the domain for this specific function, which is 2x plus 5. Now in the next class, I'm gonna probably tell you how to calculate the domain of other numbers as well. But for now, this is what we mean when we talk about what domain is, right? And now let's talk about donations first, denotions first. So this sign, which like a reflected e, which I've written over here, so what does it mean? It means belongs to. It means belongs to. Okay, right. Now let's talk about what does now that we've discussed what domain is, tomorrow, on Monday, we're going to discuss on how to find out domains of different functions as well. Now, let's in a brief way discuss what is range, right? So what does a range means? Range means, for this specific function, if we place in any value of x, right? So what's the highest value of what's the range of value of y that we're going to get, right? What's the range of value on the y axis that we're going to get? So as it can be, x can be an infinitely long number, and it could be any numbers, hence the range could be any number as well. So range, which is written in form of fx, we can say that the range belongs to a real number as well, right? When we write a real number, it basically means it could be a positive largest number that you can imagine, or a negative largest number that you can imagine, right? So I hope this is clear. Okay, now a function is not necessary a function is not necessarily related to is not necessarily written down as fx, right? It could be written in form of gx or hx. It's just the way that we write it. Okay, now let's talk about how to solve functions, right? This is what essentially how solving a function means, right? Now let's move on. We have a couple of minutes, so let's discuss what does composite function mean, right? What does composite functions mean? Okay, so what's composite function? A composite function is basically made up of two or more functions being combined together. All right, so for an example, let's take it as fx equals to 2x plus 5, right? And now gx is equals to negative 3x negative 7. Okay, so now if I ask you what's the value of f g x, okay, so what does it mean? This is now an example of a composite function. This is now an example of a composite function, right? So if I've written it as f g x, it means that in place of, if I write down fx, so let's just write down fx, right? Now in place of x, right, I usually write down the thing which is inside the bracket of f, right? So what's inside the bracket of x? F, it's gx. So what's the value of gx? So gx is equals to negative 3x minus 7, right? So gx is equals to negative 3x minus 7. So that is how we are going to write composite functions. So negative 2 multiple times negative 3, 2 times negative 3, it becomes negative 6x. 2 times negative 7, it becomes negative 14, right? Plus 5. So it becomes equals to negative 6x minus 14 plus 5, it becomes equals to negative 9. So this is the answer to FGX. Do you understand this? And now in the example, if I wrote it as FG2, right? So what would I do now? So I have the answer of FGX, so I'm just gonna write it down, negative 6x, negative 9. So in place of x now, I have to write down the value of 2. So it becomes negative 6 times 2 minus 9, right? So it becomes equals to negative 12 minus 9. All right. So we've pretty much gone over the basic concepts of function today. That's an start. We're gonna hopefully do a couple of more questions in the coming up week, and we're gonna go over the topic of functions completely. With that, we're gonna study some basic graph of functions and how to plot them as well. So all of these topics are gonna be there next week. So tune on to, yeah. So the final answer would be negative 21. Absolutely right. So tune on. Stay tuned, and you know. So in case anybody has any questions from what we've learned today, we've covered from solving basic substitution questions, elimination questions, graphical representation of what exactly simultaneous equations mean, and from word problems, solving word problems, making equation of the word problems, and then solving them using simultaneous equations, methods of simultaneous equations, right, using either substitution or elimination, right? Then we've learned about what functions is, right, and how do we um, how do we Uh, yeah. So how do we exactly showcase them in terms of equation? So this thing which I've just taught you over here, fx equals to y. So this is going to be one of the most important features. Just remember this, okay? So a function of x is basically what y is, right? So once we're going to do inverse of a function as well in the next class, hopefully. So that's where you're going to see how important this is. So then we move forward to discussing what domain is. So domain is the value of x for this whole equation, right? And the range is the value of y for the whole equation. Like how long on the y-axis can the equation be stretched to, right? So that's range. And for how long on the x-axis can the line be stretched to? So that's domain. And when we say that it belongs to a real number, it means yeah. So when we say that it belongs to a real number, it means that we're talking about positive infinite number and negative infinite number. So any number which is largest number, any largest number is also possible, right? Then we learned a little about composite function. What does it mean by composite function? And I just showed you how to solve one. Don't worry about it. It's just the beginning. I just gave you an introduction today. So we're gonna continue off and learn more about functions in the coming class tomorrow. Right. So I hope everyone would enjoy their weekend. So take care, and hopefully we'll see you next time. I do not have any questions. So yes, we do not have any questions for this class anymore. So that's it for today. All right. Enjoy your weekend. Take care. Goodbye.